Aibowan, and a very good evening to all our viewers here on TV1. I'm Dr. Dilshan Fernando, bringing to you your weekly dose of wellness here on Healthline. Good health for all, that is our objective. And keeping in line with this objective, today we are going to be talking about a gland that produces a hormone essential for the human body to function. This is none other than the thyroid gland. And to talk about this gland and to share his expert opinions, we have a very special guest with us here today. He is a consultant general surgeon at the Colombo South Teaching Hospital. He is also a professor in surgery at the Faculty of Medicine at Sri Jayawardhanapura University. And on a personal note, he has been a mentor to me and so many young budding doctors in Sri Lanka. He is none other than Professor Bhavantha Gamage. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here tonight.
Very good evening, Lisha.
So, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about the thyroid gland. So, for the benefit of our viewers, can you give us a brief explanation as to what the thyroid gland is and what its function is in the human body?
Yeah, as you correctly mentioned, thyroid gland belongs to a set of glands in our body which produces hormones. We call it in technical terms, it is endocrine system. So, and the thyroid gland produces a hormone called thyroxine. Anatomically, it is located in front of our neck, and it is a gland which has got a shape of a butterfly, because it has got two sides, right side and a left side. Both are connected to each other by a part called isthmus. So, this gland is producing this hormone called thyroxine, which is very important to day to day life. Thyroxine is important to maintain our heart rate in a normal rate. It is important to maintain our body weight. It is important to maintain our mental status, and also especially in children and the fetuses in the mother's womb, it is important hormone for the development of the brain of the child. So, overall this is one of the most important gland in the endocrine system of the body.
Right. So, you mentioned about thyroxine, that it is a very important hormone in the human body, and you mentioned multiple functions. But we know that thyroxine, if produced in excess, can cause some problems. Also, on the flip side, if there is a deficiency of thyroxine, that also can cause some problems. You can elaborate on what would happen if there is an excess, and also what would happen if there is a deficiency of thyroxine.
Yeah, very important point, Dilshan. Actually, thyroid gland can cause problems in three ways. As you correctly said, the hormone can be produced in excess, or hormone can be produced less than normal, or the hormones may be normal, but the gland can swell. So, the patients comes to us with all belongs to all these three categories. So, what happens if there is excess production of the thyroid gland? Now, people tend to think if they have normal size thyroid gland, their thyroxine hormone levels are normal. That is a misconception, because we come across many patients who have got normal size thyroid glands, but their thyroxine hormone levels can be high or low. So, if thyroxine hormones levels are higher than normal, what can happen to a person? The first thing is, person will have set of symptoms, out of which most disabling ones are, sometimes they can get they can feel their heart beating, we call it palpitations. They have excessive sweating. Now, when other people feel cold, these patients may be sweating, and they also have voracious appetite. Despite their voracious appetite, they lose their weight. Sometimes they become very angry or anxious. So, all these are symptoms of excess production of thyroxine in the body. On the other hand, if the thyroxine production is low in the body, they can gain weight. They can, even without eating much, they start gaining weight. They can be constipated. They are sometimes they can be depressed, like their heart rates are very low. So, that sort of symptoms can happen. If this thyroxine hormone is less produced in children, their mental status or their mental development can be deranged. Therefore, especially in newborns, we always check the thyroxine levels, and if they are low than normal, we have to replace thyroxine. Especially pregnant women, also very important to have normal thyroxine levels, because otherwise it will affect their babies in their wombs. So, those are the symptoms if the thyroxine levels are low. Then what happens if the thyroid gland becomes abnormal? So, we can talk about what happens when the gland, the size of the gland becomes bigger. There are various aspects of that. Sometimes the entire gland, I told you there are some pictures we can show. The thyroid gland diffusely enlarged, that is right side and the left side both can be enlarged in an equal manner. So, there are certain diseases that belongs to that category, or there can be multiple nodules of the gland, both sides there are nodules. Sometimes there can be one nodule which is also sometimes can be given cancerous. So, those are the broadly talking, those are the possible abnormalities in the gland.
Right. So, as Professor correctly mentioned, even though you might not have an enlargement in your neck which where the thyroid gland is placed, you may still have some thyroid dysfunction. So, our viewers can get rid of that misconception, and if you are facing those symptoms that we discussed, if you are having increased heart rate, if you are having diarrhea, if you are sweating a lot, or on the flip side if you are gaining weight without eating much, if you are having constipation, you should be aware. That is why we do these kind of programs, so that not to self diagnose yourself, but to go and seek medical attention. So, moving on with our discussion, sir, as a surgeon you must be coming across a lot of patients with neck lumps, right? And when you do indeed see a patient with a neck lump, how would you go about assessing this patient? Is it only conditions in the thyroid that can cause these neck lumps, or are there any other alternative diagnosis that you would consider before making that diagnosis?
Yeah. Actually, in a normal person where the thyroid gland is normal in size, you can't see the thyroid gland in the neck if you observe a person. But if a person comes and tells you that that particular person has a lump in the neck, first what we see is where is this lump. Now, the thyroid gland, as you can see in these pictures, it is right in front of the neck, slightly below your Adam's apple. So, that gland, if it is enlarged, if you ask the patient to, or that particular person, to swallow saliva or swallow a glass of water, you can see this gland moving up and down. So, that is how you diagnose whether this particular lump is a thyroid gland or not. But what are the other lumps that can appear in the neck? If you take in the skin, there are certain lumps that are appearing in the skin. Sometimes the blocked sweat glands, so we call it sebaceous cyst. So, those are skin lumps. Then under the skin, sometimes there can be fatty lumps, we call lipomas. Then there are set of other glands called lymph nodes. That is other commonest thing. If you have an infection in your mouth, if you have infection in your scalp, sometimes the lymph nodes can get enlarged, but they are on either side of the neck most of the time. Then sometimes rare conditions like there are cancers in these lymph nodes, we call it lymphomas. So, they also can have neck lumps. Then certain infections, chronic infections like tuberculosis, they also can have enlarged lymph nodes. So, and also a thyroid gland itself, now we will come to that discussion later. If a person has got a thyroid cancer, in addition to the thyroid enlargement, they can have lymph nodes. So, those are the common neck lumps we come across, out of which I would say the thyroid gland enlargement are the commonest in this part of the world, and especially in Sri Lanka, and this is more common in women than in men.
Right. You spoke about thyroid disease in Sri Lanka. In the past, if we visited a surgical clinic, we would have seen so many ladies, females with big neck lumps, and that was associated with deficiency of iodine in our diet. But currently we see that the salt that we eat is iodized. So, has this actually corrected the condition, sir, or do we still need further intervention?
Yeah, iodization program is now widely done in Sri Lanka. Therefore, the massive thyroids, as you told us, we call it endemic goiters. We don't see that much of big thyroid glands now. One thing is because of the iodization, and other thing is our people are now more health conscious. If you see some lump before it becoming very large, they go and seek medical advice from qualified medical practitioners. So therefore, we don't see that much of big thyroids now, but occasionally still we can see the bigger thyroids. The other thing is that iodization program has reduced the size of the gland, but on the other hand, it has caused increased in inflammations of the thyroid, that we call it thyroiditis. So that when the thyroiditis occurs, then the gland size may not be very much enlarged, but there will be sometimes pain in the thyroid gland, sometimes there can be few small nodules which can later on develop into thyroid cancers. So, it is well known and it has been proven with studies and research, chronic thyroiditis can lead to set of thyroid cancers called papillary thyroid cancers. So, even though the size of the thyroid gland has reduced because of iodization, there are other problems that are associated with iodization also.
Once again, I would like to reiterate what Professor said. Even though your thyroid gland is not enlarged, if you are facing any of these symptoms that we discussed today, it is very pertinent that you go and get medical attention regarding your symptoms. So, moving on, Professor, you mentioned now a patient may come with a certain set of symptoms, and you may have a neck lump, and it might move with swallowing of saliva. So, moving further, now a patient who has this sort of neck lump, beyond that, how would you assess what is actually wrong with the thyroid? What kind of investigations would you do, and what are you looking for in those investigations?
Yeah. Now, when a person comes and tells to a doctor he or she has got a lump in the neck, we first way of assessing is asking the history of this lump. When did this started, how long it has been there, and what are the symptoms they have got. So, as I mentioned earlier, we can ask from the patient the symptoms of excess thyroid production in the body as well as the less thyroid production in the body. Then the other one other important symptom that we ask from the patient is whether this gland is rapidly enlarging or not. Now, most of the thyroid lumps are benign lumps. However, if a patient says that the thyroid lump is rapidly enlarging over a period of 1 month or 2, if the gland is rapidly enlarging, or if the patient's voice is becoming a bit hoarse, then those are the features that we have to be alarmed of, because those are the features of a thyroid cancer. So, if after this history taking and asking the questions from the patient about his or her problem, then we examine the patient, and when we examine, as I said, we ask the patient to swallow, and then we feel the thyroid gland, then we can feel whether the gland is enlarged. If it is enlarged, whether one side is enlarged or both side is enlarged, or whether there are any particular nodules in the thyroid gland. Then we also feel for lymph nodes. So, once that is done, then we have to we come to a possible diagnosis, but to confirm our clinical diagnosis, we do set of investigations. The first set of investigations is few blood tests to check whether thyroxine hormone levels is normal or not. We call it TSH level and T3, T4, that is the first blood test that we do. Then we also do a scanning of the neck, and that particular scan will tell us how big the thyroid gland is, whether there are nodules, whether the entire gland is diffusely enlarged or not. That sort of information is correctly given to us by doing a simple test called ultrasound scan of the neck, which is a harmless test, unlike a CT scan or X-ray. This is freely available and not expensive also. So, once that is done, we know the configuration of the gland. Then if the scan says certain nodules are bit suspicious, suspicious in the sense a good ultrasonographer will tell us there are certain features of these nodules which can be a result of a thyroid cancer. If such a nodule are seen in the scan, then the next test will be a fine needle test. Pathologists will put a fine needle which is very much with a very much less pain, and with that needle we take the pathologist take few cells from the gland, and pathologist will look at that under the microscope and tell us whether this is a cancerous growth or not. So, with those three information, thyroid hormone level and the configuration of the gland, and if necessary this needle test results, with these three tests a surgeon can decide whether this patient needs any surgical treatment or whether this patient can be treated with medicines. Medicines in the sense, now if the thyroxine hormone is excessively produced, but the gland is benign, then we can control the thyroxine hormone levels by giving some medicine. So, that the patient's symptoms which are due to excessive production of thyroxine hormone, that is like palpitations, the weight loss, and those things can be controlled by drugs. Or else if the thyroid hormone is less produced, and if the patient is lethargic, gaining weight, constipations, ladies have got some menstrual problems because of this thyroxine problem, then we can give thyroxine externally as tablets, so that the hormone levels come back to normal levels and their symptoms regress. Those are the ways of treating thyroid problems with medicines. But if that is not the case, now I told you that there are three categories of patients. Their thyroxine hormones are normal, but the gland is abnormal. Then surgeon has to decide whether this patient needs surgery or not. Not all patients who have got thyroid enlargements need surgery. There are certain indications for thyroid surgery. For example, if the thyroid gland has got a cancer, then we have to operate. If the thyroid gland hormone production cannot be controlled by medicines, whatever the medicine we give, still the thyroid hormone is excessively produced, then also that particular person needs a surgery. Sometimes if the gland is very much big and it's causing compression to the breathing problems, if they sometimes these patients with a big thyroid gland, they say when they can't lie down and sleep because they become dyspneic or difficulty in breathing occurs. So, those are called obstructive or compressive symptoms. If such symptoms are there, then patient needs surgery. Then cosmesis, if the gland is very big, as you can see in one of these pictures, then also of course we offer surgery. So, those are the few indications of getting surgery done for the thyroid glands.
So, if I may recap on what you just said. So, when a patient presents with a neck lump and we have ascertained that it is indeed arising from the thyroid, we can do certain set of investigations where we can categorize the disease in the thyroid into either benign condition or a malignant condition, malignancy in the sense whether it is a cancer or not. And on a positive note, as Professor said, the thyroid cancers as opposed to the other conditions are not as common. So, Professor, now let us assume we have a patient who has a thyroid lump and he is found to have a benign condition, and you mentioned certain indications for surgery. So, if he is to indeed go for a surgery, what can one expect during surgery, and more importantly when they are recovering post operatively, what can they expect?
Yeah. Before that, Dilshan, I would like to say something else also.
Yes, please.
Now, this sometimes the thyroid gland surgery depending on the configuration. Now, I told you that sometimes the gland can be enlarged, both sides can be enlarged or one side can be enlarged. So, if the thyroid is enlarged only one side, the operation will be only on one side, the other side we will keep it as it is. But if the both sides are involved, then the entire gland has to be taken out. And if it is a cancerous, then entire gland has to be taken out. One good thing about thyroid cancer is that if you diagnose thyroid cancer in early stage, when you remove the thyroid gland completely, it is 100% curable thing. So, that is a message I think we should convey the public.
Definitely.
You do not have to be afraid of thyroid cancer anymore. It can be 100% cured, provided it is detected early. That is a good news about thyroid cancers. Then what are the problems that you may expect during the surgery or after the surgery? Thyroid gland operation is a major operation which may take maybe 1.5 hours to 3 hours. During the surgery, there can be all the complications are rare. I would say less than 1%. 99% of our patients recover smoothly and they go home and they have normal life. So, problems are bleeding. Then earlier people thought if you take out your thyroid gland, your voice may be lost and you can't talk, but those are actually, I would say, misconceptions. Less than 1% of the people will have bit of a hoarse voice. 99% of the people won't have any problems with their voice after thyroid surgery. After the surgery, now if the entire thyroid gland has been taken out, then of course I told you before that thyroxine is an essential hormone which is produced by the thyroid gland. Now, when a person's thyroid gland is taken out, that hormone won't, the gland won't be there, therefore, thyroxine hormone is not produced in the body. Therefore, you will have to take thyroxine as tablets. And we strongly advise all our patients who have their total thyroid gland removed, they have to take without forgetting thyroxine hormone first thing in the morning when they get out of the bed. And you have to have at least half an hour to 45 minutes to have your bed tea even after taking thyroxine. So, that is one thing you should not forget if your thyroid gland is out. So, those are the important things. Rarely their calcium levels can drop after thyroid operations for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, because thyroid gland is closely associated with another 4 important glands in our body. They are called parathyroid glands. Parathyroid means they are just next to thyroid gland. Those are very tiny glands which sometimes can be one gland maybe half a centimeter in size. So, when we do thyroid operations, we make sure that these 4 glands are preserved, and that produces a hormone called parath hormone or parathyroid hormone, which is very important in calcium absorption in the body. So, the important anatomical fact is that thyroid gland and these parathyroid glands have a common blood supply. So, when we take out the thyroid gland, sometimes temporary blood supply to these parathyroid glands also can be reduced. Therefore, they can have a transient period of low calcium levels. So, that transient period is covered with calcium tablets from outside, and after about 2-3 weeks it comes back to normal. So, therefore, these are the few problems they can have, but overall 99% of the time patients go home without any problem after thyroid surgery.
Yes, I would also like to reiterate, when we say complications during surgery, these are possible complications, not the probable ones. It does not mean that when you do indeed get a thyroid surgery done, that you will be going home without a voice or with some problems in your calcium metabolism. So, these are things that can occur, and these are things that we would counsel the patients before making that decision along with the patient's consent to go forward with the surgery. You mentioned a very important factor, that we have to be taking thyroxine externally. We take the entire thyroid out. We see that certain patients after surgery they take thyroxine for a certain period of time, and then they think, okay, now I am okay and I can stop. Is that the case, or do they have to be on thyroxine lifelong?
If the entire thyroid gland has been taken out, they have to take thyroxine for life. That is a fact. and thyroxine hormone is a essential hormone to the body. If they do not take thyroxine hormone, then they can have all the problems of low thyroxine levels in the body. Their body cholesterol levels will go up, they become fat, their mental status can be deranged, they can become depressed, they can have problems in their heart, they can develop heart failure. So, those are possible complications of not taking thyroxine if your thyroid gland is completely taken out.
Right. Even though all possible conditions in the thyroid, if detected early, can be treated completely, you have to definitely follow up with the follow up plan given by a proper medical practitioner. And we need to reiterate a bit more, sir, on the cancers regarding thyroid, because even though it is not very common, it early detection is very, very important. So, if you can just reiterate a little bit more on what the red flags, as they say, of thyroid cancer, and what people should be very much aware about, and when they should come and seek medical attention, because that would be very important for our viewers to keep in their minds if they do indeed develop these symptoms.
Yeah, very important question, Dilshan. Now, at the beginning of discussion, we told that thyroid lumps are common in ladies. If a thyroid lump comes in a man, that has a higher tendency of becoming a cancer. So, male patients have a higher tendency of getting thyroid cancer, and also if a thyroid lump occurs on one side of the gland. Now, we call it multinodular goiters when the nodules, there are more than one nodules in the gland. If there is a solitary nodule, one nodule on one side, then chances of that becoming a cancer is higher than the multinodular goiter. And also a surgeon or a doctor, when they feel the gland, I told that we examine the gland, when they feel the gland, if the nodule is harder in size, or if the patient says that nodule becomes rapidly progressing in size, or if the patient has got voice changes, then those are red flag signs. And also, if the other than the thyroid lumps, if there are associated lymph nodes enlarged, then that is also a red flag sign. So, those are the important things that we specifically look in our patients, and if those things are there, we have to investigate them thoroughly to come to a conclusion. And then if it is proven that it is a cancer, we have to operate on that and take out the entire thyroid gland. There are several types of thyroid cancers. The commonest type, we call it a papillary thyroid cancer, that usually spread to the lymph nodes in second stage. So, but still, even if it had gone to the lymph nodes, we take the thyroid gland out and the lymph nodes also cleared, still it is possible to cure the patient 100%. Then the second common type of cancer is a follicular cancer, which is spread in the body through blood streams, but the spread is fairly a late sign. Then there is another set of thyroid cancers which can be familial, they are called medullary thyroid cancers. These can run in families. So, if you have got a family member who has got thyroid cancers, and if you also have a thyroid lump, then you have to be more vigilant and more cautious and take appropriate medical advice.
Definitely, I think that is the objective of us having this type of discussion for your benefit, so that you, our beloved viewers, can listen to this and be alert and aware of what these red flag signs might be. And again, I want to reiterate, not to self diagnose, not to self medicate, but to get proper medical attention in due time. So, as we are running short on time here on Healthline, so what would be your take home message to our viewers with regards to the health in the thyroid gland?
Yes, first thing is all the problems in the thyroid gland, whether it is a cancer or non-cancer, all can be successfully treated. So, do not get afraid of the problem you have. Please seek medical advice from qualified medical practitioner. That is one of the most important take off messages. Other thing is, even thyroid cancers can be 100% cured. And the next thing is, now there was a misconception those days, if you eat certain foods, for example cabbage and that sort of that group of food, you can get thyroid enlargements, and that is not correct. in day to day life the amount that we eat never causes this type of thyroid enlargement. The other important thing is, if you are a pregnant woman, you have to be more cautious about your thyroid hormone status of the body, because that directly affects your child's brain development. And if you are a mother who become pregnant when you are taking thyroxine, because you were diagnosed of having low thyroxine levels in the body before you become pregnant, once you become pregnant, you have to check your thyroxine level more frequently, and sometimes the dose of thyroxine has to be increased when the pregnancy progresses. Those are important things, because in any body, when they become pregnant, their thyroxine demand goes up. So, if the gland is not producing enough, you have to increase the thyroxine dose. And especially in children, now normally anatomically our thyroid gland develops at the back of our tongue during the fetal life, and it gradually migrate into the normal position in the neck. So, in children, sometimes abnormal thyroid gland may exist somewhere else than the normal position. Sometimes their thyroid gland may be at the back of the tongue. So, if your child has got problem or lump, even when you open up, sometimes you can see there is a lump. That may be the abnormal position of the thyroid gland which is enlarged. So, please take your child to a medical practitioner and see what these lumps are. So, those are the important take home messages I could give you.
Right. Once again, let me reiterate, all conditions of the thyroid, if detected early, can be treated completely. So, you, our beloved viewers, please be aware of these symptoms and signs, and watch out for these red flags that we spoke about. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Healthline. I thank Professor Bhavantha Gammage very much. Thank you, sir, for gracing our studios here today. Despite your very busy schedule, it was indeed a very informative and in-depth conversation regarding thyroid disease. And until I meet you again next week with your weekly dose of wellness, this is me, Dr. Dilshan Fernando, signing off, wishing all our viewers Ayubowan.